My name is Dan Milnor. I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I am creative evangelist for a company called Blur Books. Basically, I'm just a guy who likes to record things. A lot of people know me as a photographer. I spent almost 30 years as a photographer. I got a degree in photojournalism, and that's how I began my career. Any great tidbits or stories that happened during that era for me, there were so many great things that happened, and an older photographer had pulled me aside when I first started. And he said, look, you will live in 1 year what the average person lives in 10 years, because this job is so frenetic and fast-paced. If anything, I think that was really an understatement. It was from day one on the job, it was just being put in positions that I would have never otherwise been in my life to make photographs. It was addictive in a weird way. It really put the photography bug in me, and I still got it. So this is our 2019 Dodge ProMaster 1500 with the Wayfarer kit inside. We just rolled 60,000 miles. 60,000 fantastic miles, I should say. My mother told me when I was a little kid, she said, look, there are certain members of our family that, as she put it, have wheels for feet. And she was naming off family members I didn't even know about. And she said, you're one of those people. I have always been a very, very curious person. My wife, Amy, is a very curious person. My parents were very curious people, and they sort of instilled me at a young age with that. You know, what's around the bend, what's over the hill. Yeah, is curiosity connected to the van? Absolutely. If you are a curious person, I can speak from firsthand experience that there is no better option than the van. You can sort of accumulate the tools you need to explore. No county maintenance out here. And then once you're in the field exploring, every direction you turn, there's probably something that you either know nothing about that you might find interesting. I can't go out in the van without coming back with an additional list of project ideas that I want to do because of things that I've encountered while being out in the van. And I think what the van provides you, maybe more so than anything else, is time. The van allows you to stay put. I can explore out and then have this base camp of the van. I can get on the motorcycle, I can get on the bicycle, I can go by foot. That allows me to offload all my images and video footage. It allows me to sit in there and write. If it's pouring rain or snowing or, blazing hot, I have a place to go. The van it feeds curiosity and vice versa. One of my sort of secret plans in life is to convince as many other people as possible to start journaling. The journal to me is a beautiful tool, but it's often misunderstood because people think a journal is like just chronicling what you did during the day. But that's not really what it has to be. You can do that if you want, but the journal is like is a free zone to be anyone or anything you want to be. So I've been making photography books since mid-1990s and make a lot of books, but this one is called The Van is Not the Thing. The Van is the Thing That Gets You to the Thing. And it's basically a book, random images that I made while traveling in the van, but also re-emphasizing the point that really if you're focused on the van, you might be focused on maybe what's not the most important thing in the equation. So the title's actually spelled out on the pages as you go through. And these are just random photographs. And so one of the pictures in here which kind of jumps out and is interesting memory for me is these are the sandhill cranes, the sandhill crane migration down at Bosque del Apache, which is in southern New Mexico. It's a nature preserve. And I do a lot of journaling, and that was a interesting day for me for a couple of reasons. I got a text message from my brother, which really changed the focus of the day. But this says journal entry, November 5th, 2020, Bosque del Apache, 26 degrees. My plan was to spend the day photographing and filming the crane migration. Amy and I had driven south from Santa Fe and took several hours to scout locations while I made notes and created visual sketches in my mind. Everything was in place when my plan suddenly went sideways. The movie clip came from text message from my brother, small, unstable, and in color. Quote, "Mom wants to spread Dad's ashes right now." There was no discussion, no plan, just she wants to do this now. And with that, my brother, who happened to be visiting my mother at the time, was on the hook to make it happen. The next film came seconds later. The phone, shaky and uncertain in my 83-year-old mother's hands, pointed into the harsh South Texas sun. My brother, backlit, still holding the urn. "Mom, do you see yourself in the phone or do you see me?" he asked. "I can see you," she answered. "Okay, where do you want me to spread the ashes?" my brother asked. "Right there," she said, "in that high grass where the deer come." Slowly, and by tracing an invisible circle, my brother began to slowly pour my father's ashes out and onto the earth, the dust and bone backlit and powdery as the slight wind carried my father away and into the far reaches of the cedar and the mesquite. That's the kind of thing that I love to put into journals, things that have significance and meaning. Journals can be different things to different people, but when you have sort of books in your bloodstream, the journal is just a stepping stone to every single thing else I do. Curiosity would be the underlying sort of philosophical ideology of my life, and then being honest and truthful and humorous. I think even in like professional photography, I think there's a serious lack of humor. And no matter how serious you want to take photography, that's all fine. But you have to remember that most of the people around you don't take it that seriously. So, you gotta keep things in perspective. You can take your work seriously, but don't take yourself that seriously. And I think there's an appreciation for that. And I also read recently, if you are curious, you live an average of 7.5 years longer than people who aren't curious. They said it's more physically beneficial to you than if you were a smoker and you quit smoking. The idea of curiosity has more health-related benefit than stopping smoking, which just seems bizarre to me, but it's worked. The importance of the van is not the van itself. The van itself is like a camera. It's metal, it's plastic, and it's glass. The van itself is but a means to an end. The van itself is about access, usability, and balance of the work-life paradigm. It's what we do in the van that will remain. What we see, hear, smell, and touch. It's a photographer named Gilles Perez. This is a book about the war in the Balkans, Farewell Bosnia. Did a book on Rwanda. Everything he does is just at a quality level that reminds me that I have to be better, that I have to work harder, do more, and just make better work. And I like being reminded of that there's always something else out there to learn. Noah Stryker, his favorite bird is a turkey vulture, which is bizarre. Like, who likes turkey vultures? Politely, there's been other issues with other cars that we've had. So I like this car. I use it for my work, so I need it to remain in one piece. So I do most of the driving. You know you've completely lost it when you're reading vagrancy in birds. Or elusive birds of the tropical understory. Like when that suddenly seems like something you're gonna put in your basket on Amazon, you know that you've hit middle age. Like it's all downhill from here, enjoy every moment. Rare birds of North America, it goes on and on, yeah. You go down the rabbit hole and there's no coming back.